Luka Doncic. First game for Doncic against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks, tonight at Crypto.com. Doncic played his first 6 seasons in the NBA with the Mavericks before he was traded to the Lakers on February 8th for Anthony Davis. This will be AD's first game against the Lakers since the trade, although he won't be in a Mavericks uniform. AD will be on the bench in street clothes. He's recovering from a strained abductor muscle. AD has played only 3 quarters for the Mavericks. In 4 games with the Lakers, Doncic is averaging 19 points and 5.8 assists. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight. If you don't have a ticket, you can catch the game live on TNT. The UCLA women's basketball team moved up to number 2 in this week's Associated Press Top 25 poll. Texas is number 1. USC is 4th. UCLA and USC are a combined 51-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is B.D.L. Hugo, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's on the way.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody ask me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith, but we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming back again. Oh, yes it is. It's late in the evening. Oh, God, it's time for you to return. Oh, oh, see. I know.
Oh, yes, it is time to make that change. Truth time. What better way to start off thinking about how we all can make that change? Dr. West and I count it all joy to be together with you on this day. We got a lot to unpack, a lot to explore, starting with today. Congress votes on Republican plan to fund tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. And they're going to fund those tax cuts on the backs of the poorest people in this country by, number 1, making cuts to Medicaid. I want you to let that marinate in your mind. Tax breaks for the ultra wealthy on the backs of the poor and working poor in this country, cutting Medicaid in a nation that does not have universal health care. Think about that. And then secondly, is it time for the Democratic Party to throw off the dead hands of Clintonism? That's a whole lot. But before we get to exploration phase, the doctor is in the house to share with us what is on his heart, his soul, and his mind, giving us all a lot to think about. Doc, so good to be with you today, per usual.
Well, we are still swinging. We still trying to tell the truth, in pursuit of the truth, seeking the truth, but always inseparable from, let me just put it that way, it's inseparable from our commitment to justice. You know, when we're talking about this war going on and this fascism that is intensifying, and I think we need to just stop for a moment, even in talking about it, politics, Democratic Party, that these are spiritual and moral issues of courage. And we had to explain, how could it be that cowardliness and conformity are so pervasive in our culture? Not just on vanilla sides of town, but I'm talking about Black people too. You see, that we come from a great Black folk who we've been fearful, we've been scared, but I don't think we've had levels of cowardliness in the past. I mean, how Harriet Tubman, when she was rescuing and trying to save enslaved Africans, they were afraid and intimidated, and they had some collaborators with the slave holders. But cowardliness is one of the most despicable spiritual vices. And the flip side is courage. And if we're not producing enough courageous truth tellers, courageous love warriors, courageous freedom fighters, then what is going on? There was a powerful speech that the great Thomas Mann, the German novelist who wrote Dr. Faust, is one of the grandest pieces of art dealing with fascism in Europe. And he wrote at the Pacific Palisades, right where those homes have been set on fire recently. But he gave this talk at Claremont College, October 3rd, 1940. And he talked about how when fascism comes to America, it's going to come in the name of freedom. Then we would add, it's going to come grounded in deep religiosity, deeply pseudo-Christian, and profoundly racist, profoundly white supremacist. So it's clear that the anxiety and security that the white mainstream is coming to terms with is following this cowardly line for fascism. But then the question becomes, okay, now black folk, we historically have been the moral conscience of the American empire because of our courage, because of our compassion, because of our consistency over against the hypocrisy in the white mainstream. But if we get spiritually weak and morally feeble, and so black cowardliness itself becomes part and parcel of the fascism that takes over not just the empire, but of course we're talking about the world. America is still the most powerful empire in the history of the world. And so in Hungary and Brazil and China and India and Germany, the neo-Nazi party getting almost 20% of the vote. Neo-Nazi party got just recently.
Yes.
How do we come to terms with this cowardliness? And we don't like to talk about it in those blunt, raw terms, but I think we're going to have to. We really do. I think Martin King at the end of his life was so deeply disappointed in black cowardliness. We know Malcolm was. Not just the Nation of Islam or elements of the Nation of Islam, but among the black leadership and black people as a whole. But we have to be able to talk about this without demonizing people. But we do have to come to terms with it, because if we're going to be the countervailing force or one of the major countervailing forces against the cowardly fascism that we're seeing in the White House with Trump and Vance and company, we're going to come to terms with the cowardliness in our own precincts. And that's a spiritual and a moral issue. And we've yet to really hit that head on, but we're going to have to.
Yeah, Doc, that is a word. I mean, really, for us to ensure our survival before we can even get to thriving, we are going to have to deal with that. I mean, you just put a lot on our plate on that, Doc, the cowardliness, and then, really laying at the feet of being able to deal with this at the feet of Black folks who have traditionally been that moral consciousness for the country and also for the world. So much to unpack there. When we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation. Doc has really laid this out. You're listening to Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Who cares about the Black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, We're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th with an encore presentation Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
What you want to do, huh?
KBLA Talk 1580 is thrilled to share that we have been named as a semifinalist for the coveted American Climate Leadership Awards, honoring our climate work last year. We're also delighted to announce year 2 of our Climate Justice Crusade. This year's $2 million 12-month campaign will link and combat the relationship between climate change and poor health outcomes for African Americans and the poor. Climate inequities have taken a toll with multiple health triggers in the Black community, such as extreme heat and poor air quality, made worse by the recent wildfires. Our work to ensure climate justice and climate equity continues. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 2025 climate campaign. To learn more about our plans for this year and the companies and organizations supporting us, log on to our website at kbla1580.com. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, Dr. West, you've given us a lot to think about in your opening monologue. The whole notion of cowardice, spiritual and moral issues of courage at stake here, calling it into question for all of us, but particularly those with fancy titles, and even more particularly to the Black community, the Black leadership, so-called leadership, and how their cowardice is aiding neo-fascism. That's deep, Doc, and that's a lot of stuff people are not going to want to hear. They're not going to want to wrestle with that, but now we got to wrestle with that. That the onus in particular, and I mean, what would you say to someone who says that, why is the onus directly and particularly on Black America in a deeper way than it is on anybody else, or Black leadership in a way that it's not on anybody else?
That's a beautiful question, though, and I think part of it is just a matter of history. That we don't choose that, but the greatness of our tradition has been one that has been more willing to tell the truth about America and more willing to fight for justice in America and around the world. So we just happen to be a peoples who have this world historical role to play. It's like our musicians, how come you put all the weight on us and we got to come up with all this folk and creativity? Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're going to try to be funky and you got James Brown sitting up there, and you're going to try to be a hip hop artist and you got Tupac sitting up there, Kendrick understand what's happening. He know that's his tradition. He's got to meet the challenge, and he does. But that's just a historical question, but it's an individual choice of whether you meet that standard or not. Right kind of discipline, right kind of creativity, right kind of humility, right kind of willingness to stretch oneself. And then, as my blood brother Cliff would say, overperform at the moment when you got to come through.
Come on.
You see, that's what James Brown does at Apollo. That's what Kendrick does at Super Bowl. That's what Michael Jackson and Prince do at the Super Bowl. That's what Beyonce does at Coachella. So that it's true that it seems to be historically unfair to put the burden on Black people when our backs have been the foundation of the nation, and yet we still have to be the stone that constitutes the foundation for the new world. But that's exactly what our historical role and function has been and will continue. But if we don't meet the challenge, then in fact, you see all the greed, all the hatred, all the cowardliness, all the envy, all the resentment accumulates in such a way that we lose everything. And in losing everything, we're not just talking about the possibilities of a new world, but we're talking a new society, but the possibilities of a new world, because ecological crisis is as real as a heart attack. And that's fossil fuel greed in part that we don't want to come to terms with, but we have to.
Yes, that will impact us all. I mean, overperform in the moments you have to come through. That, you know what, Doc, if I was a preacher, I would preach that sermon on Sunday. That right there, that answers. And I totally agree with you. It is the assignment of Black people, especially Black Americans. We didn't ask for this assignment. It was divinely given to us. And so it's our assignment for a lifelong. It's just the way that it is. I am with you on that, Doc. And so let us move then to the fact that today Congress votes on a Republican plan to cut taxes for the ultra wealthy. And the way that they're going to do that is on the backs of the poor. They want to cut Medicaid. Now, again, we are the only industrialized nation. Yes, we being the United States of America, because of course we have people viewing us and listening from all over the world. The United States of America is the only industrialized nation on the face of the earth that does not have some type of universal health care. And in its hegemonic position, that is beyond shameful. It does call into question that morality that Dr. West is talking about. And this notion of having universal health care has been wrestled with over many generations. This is not the first generation to wrestle with this. So the fact that we don't have it is a problem. Now, moving towards Medicaid, which helps poorer people get some health care. The fact that the Republicans had a pure unadulterated gall to cut it, to give more tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. So let me break down for a minute what Medicaid covers. And this is coming from Sister Emma on X, and I thank her on Twitter for just really breaking this down. 21% of Americans nationally receive Medicaid, 83 million low-income Americans, 4 in 10 children, 1 in 4 adults with disabilities, nearly 50% of children with special needs, 5 in 8 nursing home residents, 32% of people in Mike Johnson's home state. And Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House, for those who need to know, the Republican Speaker of the House. So this points to like the callous indifference and coarseness towards poor people, and to sacrifice the lives and the livelihoods of poor people to give a tax break to the ultra wealthy. President Donald J. Trump did not run on this, but baby, this is what they are doing right now in this moment. And before Dr. West jumps in, I want to urge you all, the vote is supposed to take place at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call your member of Congress. Don't hesitate. Call your member of Congress who is in the House of Representatives. This is where this bill starts. This is where this bill is. You need to call them post haste and tell them, no, this ain't what you signed up for. This is not what President Donald J. Trump ran on, that we're not going to be that kind of nation. Let them know. Call your member of Congress. So, Doc, I mean, this speaks to your opening monologue on this, and I definitely did not see the Congressional Black Caucus, to your point about how Black leaders have an extra burden to speak a certain type of truth. They should have been standing on desk over this, but then you have the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, Representative Hakeem Jeffries from New York, just giving in, saying, we have no leverage. Doc?
That is true. Well, you know, my dear sister, over 70% of fellow citizens have been calling for single payer health care, and almost 80% of black folk, over 80 some percent of black folk. But it's hard to find a black politician other than yourself and a few others who will raise their voices. Now, why is that the case? Well, you got big money and pharmaceutical companies that's paying these politicians off. That's corruption. So you got the spiritual sickness of the society that has this indifference toward the vulnerable. Then you got a system, a political system that is corrupt because it can't speak to the suffering of the people. And so the people are crying out. They're frustrated. They are desperate, but it doesn't translate because you've got big money standing in the way, and that is corruption. And then you've got, the gangsters in the White House and others who are doing all that they can to push through their programs that have little or nothing to do with the empowerment of working people. They act as if it does, but it has nothing to do. Billionaires are going to be the major beneficiary. The ruling class will be the major beneficiary. People with big money will be the major beneficiaries.
That's
and yet
right.
they claim to be so populist. No, Bannon. Now, Bannon does have his own contempt for Musk because he is a neo-fascist populist and Musk is a neo-fascist elitist. So they've got their own various tensions and conflicts within the fascist movement. There's no doubt about that. But overall, they still have a deep, deep indifference toward poor people, and especially poor Black and brown and indigenous peoples.
Yeah, Doc, it seems like a disdain, really. I mean, would want us not to be here at all, if they could get away with it, and killing people slowly, because for folks not to have health care to be able to take care of themselves, that is in of itself a slow death, if we think about it that way. Not to have the resources one needs to be able to thrive before we even get, or survive before we even get to thrive, that is in fact a slow death. Let me go to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who 33 minutes ago, instead of lowering costs for families, Republicans' budget gives away $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires. Guess how they are paying for it? By ripping away Medicaid from millions of our families and gutting programs working people rely on. That's Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib putting that out on her social media. Congresswoman Tlaib has been one of a very few champions who have held strong to what it means to be a humanitarian and a leader and putting things on the line. And here she is right there. She in the mix of it, laying it out for us about what is happening. $4.5 trillion tax cuts for billionaires. Meanwhile, back at the ranches, back in the communities, back in the hoods all over the country, they would prefer to allow poor people, working poor people, disabled people, children, their parents, just the language, Doc. I mean, they really just don't care at all. I mean, if this wasn't a PG network, if this wasn't a family-oriented show, I have some coarser words.
You've got some other words to use.
Yes.
Lord, but I was listening to that rich conversation between Brother Tavis and Sister Connie Rice, and invoking that essay by Robert Reich that says, well, the real story here is that the Trump administration wants a militarized state, so that the fascism that they're talking about, not just soft power, but it's hard power. They want to speak to the military elites to say, we need to take this show over. We need to suspend rule of law. We don't need to wait for the explicit constitutional crisis in which the Supreme Court says X and the Trump administration says Y. We're not going to do it. Now, that is as raw a constitutional crisis you can get. And when you have that kind of crisis, where you actually have the administration saying, we will not listen to the courts and will look to the military to execute what we want, that has no constitutional basis, no moral basis, no legal basis, then then it's on. I mean, at that point, you've got the rawest form of fascism you can imagine. And it looks like that's where we're headed. And that's why we need the moral and spiritual and political courage of everyday citizens, everyday people, ordinary citizens like ourselves. And we will be tested because we are headed in that direction.
Yeah, we will. And again, people can call their members of Congress. It's only what we're gonna put up with as a citizenry. I mean, when are we going to stand up and say enough is enough? Call your congressperson. The vote again is scheduled to happen in the House of Representatives of that United States Congress at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And you can call and you can speak up and speak out. Like, I know we all have poorer people, working class people in our own families, in our communities. You know, how would we feel if they could not get the resources that they so richly need? The fact that this administration and many administrations before, because it's not just this administration, and that's the point, Dr. West, to the people who join us on a regular basis, we have been trying to emphasize that the challenges that we face as a nation and a world did not start with this administration. Now, Dr. Quote you, they're more gangster with it than previous administrations. But if you dig deep, the pain points have been the same. Under the Obama administration, we could have had not Obamacare, not the Affordable Care Act, which did a few good things, like allowing younger people to stay on their families' health insurance to their 26. But, you know, what do they do when they turn 27? You know, that kind of stuff. Pre-existing conditions, no longer could insurance companies deny you because you had those were two good things. Could have went further. But he could have, I mean, since you're going to catch the hell for pushing something like that, why don't you go all the way and do it the right way and have universal health care? The same thing could have happened with the Clinton administration. The same thing could have happened more recently with the Biden administration, but they didn't do any of those things. And so the fact that they didn't do it, and then the Republicans are willing to do something that is really the antithesis of what we should be doing in today's time, we got to question the duopoly itself and the cowardliness. We got the callousness of the Republicans and the cowardliness of the Democrats. Now that's what we're facing.
That's real. We got to tell the truth.
That's what we do on Truth Time. Now, folks don't have to. I just say ouch. You know, Doc, I got a sermon that I do preach. If you can't say amen, just say ouch. But we marching down somebody's street right now. This is a sad day in America, but we can do something about it. It is not just about this particular moment. We need folks to be mad as heaven about this. Doc, you know, I had a boss who said, if your hair is on fire, act like your hair is on fire. Our hair is on fire today on Truth Time. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not jiving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Elon Musk says federal workers get a second chance to list job accomplishments or risk termination. A follow-up email is urging agencies to review responses. Trump calls the effort genius. New York Governor Kathy Hochul's oversight plans for Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams seem to be going nowhere. She says she'll keep working with council members but will not weigh in on his primary race. So far, no action has been taken on her proposals. The University of Maryland Eastern Shore, a historically Black land-grant research university, is concerned about the Trump administration suspending a USDA scholarship program. President Heidi Anderson calls it unfortunate, saying it undervalues students' impact. And Washington, D.C. is honoring Grammy-winning singer Roberta Flack, who passed away at 88. A Howard alum, she taught music locally before rising to fame. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser is praising her lasting impact. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The CONCACAF Nations League finals arrive at SoFi Stadium March 20th to 23rd. USA versus Panama, followed by Canada versus Mexico. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster. For more information, visit CONCACAFNationsLeague.com/tickets.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's going to be an emotional night tonight for Lakers star Luka Doncic. First game for Doncic against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks, tonight at Crypto.com. Doncic played his first 6 seasons in the NBA with the Mavericks before he was traded to the Lakers on February 8th for Anthony Davis. This will be AD's first game against the Lakers since the trade, although he won't be in a Mavericks uniform. AD will be on the bench in street clothes. He's recovering from a strained abductor muscle. AD has played only 3 quarters for the Mavericks. In 4 games with the Lakers, Doncic is averaging 19 points and 5.8 assists. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight. If you don't have a ticket, you can catch the game live on TNT. The UCLA women's basketball team moved up to number 2 in this week's Associated Press Top 25 poll. Texas is number 1. USC is 4th. UCLA and USC are a combined 51-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant at home office. 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back. Love and truth, indeed beautiful. Thank you all for coming forward with us. And if you are just now joining us, you have missed a hot first half an hour, but you can go back and catch it. Download the KBLA app. Do it right now, as long as you're not driving. Do it when you pull to the side of the road, but doggone it, download the app. Dr. West opened us up with a whole monologue about the spiritual, moral issues of our time and the fact that so many of our leaders lack courage And then what does that say about us, the rest of us? Are we willing to stand up in the face of them lacking courage? And how Black people, because of our history in this country, have an extra burden, both communally and individually, because we have been the moral consciousness of this country, and dare we say the world. And Doc, I love it when you said in the moment you have to come through. That absolutely preaches. We also were analyzing the fact that today the Republicans' budget will cut Medicaid to give tax breaks to the ultra wealthy to the tune of over $4 trillion. There's something wrong with that. Children use Medicaid. Our otherly abled or disabled sisters and brothers and family and friends utilize Medicaid. All kinds of adults utilize it. And then the fact that we live in a country that does not have universal health care, that is very problematic. Doc, before we dig in a little deeper and get to our other topic for today, as we always do around about this time, we go and see what some of our viewers on YouTube have had to say. Blessed Peacemaker is in the house per usual, sending you love. Blessed Peacemaker, greetings. Blessed Peacemaker says, from the mother continent, greetings to you as well. We got Toby Walker saying, hey. And then Blessed Peacemaker goes on to say, Senator Turner, I work with the West campaign and I love getting to know him. One of the greatest honors of my life. Now I'm getting to know you. You all right. I'm paraphrasing. Bless you, Senator Turner. We got Daryl Evans. Hi to both of you. I hope you're doing fine. Right back at you. We got Selena Ricks. Love y'all show. Hashtag truth time with a big old heart. Sending that love back. Joe Cuts, I think. I wish they would debate supporting the Ukraine-Russia war. We may be able to get to that, not necessarily today, but we have talked about this war throughout, and we'll get back to that again. We appreciate that. And then, yes, Nina, I agree with you. He wasn't aggressive enough to get it through. He might be referring to, Daryl might be referring to our comments about President Obama. Dr. West, not so sure. And then EA says, so my question to both of you is, who will be brave enough to speak up and out against Democrats' selective outrage and say this dysfunction occurs both in the Democratic and Republican administrations? I think we've said that.
We've been saying that from the very beginning, but we appreciate who wrote that. Was that
that was EA initials
EA?
Okay.
EA. Yeah,
yes.
EA. We've been raising that issue, and we've been trying to raise it at a deeper philosophical level. You see, when John Adams wrote a famous letter to John Taylor in 1814, John Adams was the second president of the United States, and he said that democracies tend not to last, that they exhaust, they waste, and they murder themselves. There's never been a democracy that did not commit suicide. Now, John Adams was a conservative. He was one of the few first presidents who was not a slaveholder. He and his son were the only two presidents of the first 10 that were not slaveholders. But he did not believe that American democracy could survive. And he thought it could not survive because there would not be enough folk who were really willing to cultivate thinking critically for themselves. Now, he was an abolitionist. Even though he's conservative, he was an abolitionist. So he's anti-slavery in a serious way. But you think back now from the second president to the 47th president, good God Almighty, that's a major drop. It's a major drop. But we are witnessing a democracy that is addicted to self-destruction, that is committing suicide because the gangsterization of America that has been proceeding for a long time is now being intensified, and they are serious about it. That's what fascism is. There's always been fascist elements and dimensions to America. I mean, slavery is about as fast as you can get. Jim Crow and lynching about as fast as you can get. And with indigenous peoples, we need another language. It's genocide, annihilation, and something worse than that. But in terms of the vast majority of Americans from Europe and other places, then it has had democratic processes and practices that are very precious. Absolutely, very precious indeed. Those are the ones, those practices are the ones that are dissolving. And that's why we got to fight, capital F, resist, capital R. And traditionally, it's been black folk who come to the rescue.
All
Civil
the time.
War, 1960s, Ella Baker, Martin King. Is now in 2025. No, black folk. Well, we fighting, but we're just not as strong. We're not as vibrant as we've been in terms of courage and compassion and vision.
And not as focused, Doc. I mean, yeah, we got to
Not
come
as
through.
focused.
Not as focused. I can only imagine that our foreparents who are in the ancestral plane right now really agonizing over the fact that they fought so hard to get us to where we are today, and yet we have just given it all, just given it up, collectively, communally, the types of leaders, not all, Dr. West and I would never say all, but
That's
the
right.
type of leadership, the feckless leadership that we have right now, particularly in that Congress, among all those, most of those Congress members, there are a few standouts, but particularly the Black Caucus, who had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to stand up, especially when Democrats are in power, to make a demand, baby, to make a demand and hold that Congress hostage until those demands are made. And they never did any of those things. Not any. They didn't hold out and say, you know what, ain't nothing moving up in here until we pass the John
we
Lewis.
get the voting rights bill,
Come
till we
on.
get George Floyd, till we get health care for all, until we get a foreign policy that is concerned about folk getting bombed and murdered and maimed at will. No, but that courage is just not there. You see,
Not
the
there.
careerism, the opportunism, the hedonism, the individualism has just soaked their souls in such a way they have very little sense of the memory of a grand figure like A. Philip Randolph or Ida B. Wells Barnett. We've talked about in our history teach-ins this month, and we still in Black history, so we can just continually go with it. We still got a rich tradition, but we're losing it, and we got to recapture it. We got to revitalize it.
We got to do it. These people, some of them, because we do have some standouts and had some standouts. The moral of this story is that we cannot depend solely on, if at all, members of Congress to stand up and do what's right. And most of the great, just thinking back historically, most great movements did not bubble up because of somebody with a special title in elected office. It bubbled up because you had leaders who put a little extra on their ordinary on the outside that forced the people on the inside to do what is right. And that is why we need a grand bubbling up of people all over this country, but particularly those on the chocolate side, to retake our position as the moral consciousness of this nation and this world. That is our assignment. Now, Dr. West and I, we throwing down the gauntlet. That's our assignment. It might be unfair. At times I do say, Lord, have mercy. This is unfair assignment, but it is our assignment. Nevertheless, Doc, you just didn't see that Black Caucus standing up on any tables, stopping anything. Matter of fact, they tried to make us believe that all was well with our soul during the Biden administration. All was well with our soul in the Obama administration. And thank God for the courage of people like you and Brother Tavis and so many others who saw, especially on that second term, because that first term, Doc, I was like, nah, y'all ain't gonna do the brother like this. Let him go and get that second term. I know he gonna come out swinging for morality and courage. It just did not happen.
Not to be.
No, it was not to be. It was not to be.
Not to be.
Not to be.
Anahita reminds me, though, even with our dear sister Joy Reid, when Brother Roe, and Roe is such a decent brother, but when he said she was one of the boldest voices speaking truth to power, when she's in the back pocket of the Democratic Party for the most part, that she was strong against the Republicans, but not against the Democrats.
And that is really what EA is asking. Are we going to call out the
we're going to call out consistently
of both?
We see Roe doing something right. Okay, we with the brother.
Right.
But when he using over exaggerated language, somebody like Joy Reid, we defend Joy Reid because she's a brilliant Black sister.
Yes, she is.
Fairly, but she's in the back pocket of the Democrats and wouldn't say a mumbling word about so many of their conformity acts
And
of
maybe
conformity.
there'll be an awakening, Doc. We always hold our hope that people will wake up.
Oh,
Speaking of holding our
absolutely.
hope, maybe
Absolutely.
when we come forward, we will continue this riveting conversation. You are listening to Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580. 1580.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy, delivery, and beyond, supporting your partner and advocating for your baby's health. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health inequalities. Join the free AIM Fatherhood Program and make a difference. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caSMPvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Truth Crushed to Earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are indeed. Doc, a few more comments. I want to say to our viewers on YouTube, will not be able to get to all the comments today, but Dr. West and I want to thank you so much for your support of us. Doc is overflowing in here. So I'm going to pick out a few more before we continue our conversation. Regina Adams from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you both for the courage you exhibit and the truth, all caps, you continue to tell. Knowledge is power. White Rabbit, people power. White Rabbit, for God's sake, you got to give more power to the people. You know, Chairman Fred Hampton once said, all power to the people. And we got Pastor Harold. Until we begin to collaborate as much as we have social exhibits, the sooner we will unleash the greatness that is in us of a truth. We must use our power, and on and on and on. Doc. So we definitely want to thank all of our folks that are on YouTube, pouring into the comments. We know so many people are watching who might not necessarily comment. So I want to give an extra thank you to folks who are really sharing their voice with us today, Dr. West.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I was glad to see the pastor and the reverend, because American fascism is so deeply rooted in white Christian nationalism, which is a form of Christian idolatry or pseudo-Christianity in terms of not wanting to get at the love at the center of the gospel, that blood at the foot of the cross. But it's also a relative failure of the Black church. The Black church is once one of the great sources of the moral conscience of the community and the largest society in the world. And so many of our Black churches themselves have become so marketized and commodified that we've talked about this before. You know, you got the ATM spirit rather than the spirit of the cross. And therefore, you're not going to be able to get at the kind of spiritual awakening that generates courage. You can generate cash, but you're not generating courage. Oh, Lord, what cash got to do with Jesus? Well, Jesus said, take care, got to seek the kingdom first. Then all things will be added unto you.
Yes, sir. Yes, and people really have forgotten that. And that is just a spiritual tenet. You don't have to be a Christian to believe in that. There's a golden rule that permeates all the major religions: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And would we have people out there not being able to have health care? Would we? You know, I was talking to one of our brothers. This happened, it must have been last year or maybe the year before that. But I was walking down the street in LA with brother Alan Minsky, who leads the Progressive Democrats of America. And there was a homeless man, laying on the side of the street, which we often see in places like LA and other very large cities. And Alan Minsky said these words to me. I'll never forget it. Just pierced my soul. He said, human beings are the only species that would see their own and walk by without trying to help. That hurt me. You know, that even others in the animal kingdom, because we're animals too, they gonna stop and try to help their own. But we are the only species that would see something of that magnitude and just go on and walk on by. Hold your thought on that, Doc. Hold your thought on that. When we come forward, Dr. West and I will continue this robust conversation. You are listening to True Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
What make you? Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good Every Day.
Babe, guess what? We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
It's okay, funny man. You got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Well, Dr. West, in our remaining moments, I want you to respond. I know you had a whole bunch to say before we came forward again. I do want to remind folks that today, the Congress, the House of Representatives, will be voting on a tax plan put forward by the Republicans to balance taxes or to give tax breaks, I should say, to the ultra wealthy in this country on the backs of the poor. They're planning to cut Medicaid. You can make your voices heard by calling your Congress member's office. Make sure that you do that. We've been talking about that throughout the show and the lack of courage and moral clarity that too many of these elected officials have, and how the Black leadership in particular has failed us because Black people have the burden and the awesome opportunity, assignment given to us by the Creator, to really be the moral beacon and the moral voices in times like this, both here at home and domestically. Dr. West.
No, I think you said it. But all of the possibilities for change remain abstract if you don't have the courage to realize it.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth, Doc? And I know today we were supposed to get to, is it time for the Democratic Party to throw off the dead hands of Clintonism? Doc, we're going to tackle that tomorrow.
We'll get a chance.
We'll get a chance. This was so deep today. You know, we had to roll with the spirit. I want to bring forward in my Nina notes, brother Eugene V. Debs, who ran for president to shake this thing up in this country. He said the following: I am opposing a social order in which it is possible for one man who does absolutely nothing that is useful to amass a fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars, while millions of men and women who work all the days of their lives secure barely enough for a wretched existence. Doc?
He's one of the courageous ones, Brother Debs. Eugene V. Debs.
Listen. If our audience has never heard of this brother right here, this vanilla brother is Dr. West. I'm channeling my Dr. West. If you have not heard of this vanilla brother by the name of Eugene V. Debs, baby, look him up. They put that man in jail because he was railing against the system. He got votes from jail. Doc, we're going to have to highlight him on one of our teach-in Thursdays. This has been a blast. Dr. West and I want you to go out and do good. Know that hope and love are action words. You have been listening to Truth Time with the one and only Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA